Hey guys, my previous video about this subject of whether the organization will stop undermining me after 15 to 75 weeks of doing the free guy program was abrupted because once again I reached the limit of a 4 gigabyte video file size, and also was about to reach the limit of my remaining disk space. But I have a lot more things to say, and I do want to let this stuff out. I do want to talk about it because it matters to me, not nearly as much as not having my body attacked by the creature. But it still matters to me because it's my interaction with the world, and I don't want to be constantly undermined in some way. And again, I'm explaining what I mean by undermining. I mean making things more difficult for me than they would be otherwise, making me artificially less successful at something that otherwise, and making me feel like I'm not that special, or try to reduce my confidence out of the fear that I would become too much confident, and then I would be uncontrollable, or worse, that I would be the one in control, and that my success would become too great, things like that. And the first video, it wasn't so much about undermining, to be honest. It was about their earliest, or some of their earliest attempts to control me using women, and exploiting my innocence, my childhood, that I still had the mind of a child, and introducing this awful, horrible book, this Think and Grow Rich garbage, manipulative, evil garbage into my life, brain corrupting book that suggests that you become a mindless slave in order to try to achieve anything at all in life. And the second part started to talk more about the undermining stuff. You see, the organization has been primarily doing three things to mess with me. The very worst is attacking my body directly, or otherwise trying to destroy my brains using sounds. Basically, direct attacks against my body or my brain. That's the worst thing. And the other thing, trying to control me by manipulating me one way or another, primarily attempts to manipulate me using women. And that's when that failed, is when they started to attack my body. When it failed with Emma Watson, when they saw that Emma Watson stopped posting on Instagram, that they disappeared, and they wouldn't try to chase after them or try to obtain them, then they started to attack my body, to say, oh, Emma Watson can't be used to control you. We think otherwise. We will force Emma Watson to control you. That was the thing. And the last thing is those undermining attempts. This is what those videos are about. Constantly trying to make me feel like I'm supposed to get less than I'm actually supposed to, or like I'm not as special as I really am, or like my lot in life is different than what I think it is, or like Like I'm not supposed to be so confident because then it will be too hard to control me and I'd be out of control and stuff like that. So to be honest, I hardly remember where the previous video left off because I was taking a small break. But I believe that was when I was talking about that they started to heavily stalk me with homosexuals after I made that video of self-love. Self-love to and the self-insemination in the mouth out of self-attraction. They decided that if I love myself, that it means I don't love the women as much, and therefore I wouldn't give them my heart and soul like they want me to, and so they wouldn't be able to manipulate me, because like I said, if the woman controls you and the organization, like, because she owns your heart and soul, and the organization controls the woman, therefore the organization owns you, it owns your heart and soul, because it is in control of the woman who owns your heart and soul. And if I love myself, then it means that their plot, it couldn't happen. So they would stick me with those erotic homosexuals and with old people, especially old women. Um, Especially today with old women, they would make old women follow me everywhere, wearing the colors that I used to train for really big workouts. And for every like 1,000, either any of those people, old women, old men, homosexuals, whatever, I would see only one pretty girl. And like they wanted to instill, they want me to feel that pretty young women is not something that is available in heaps, and that would chase after me like Elvis, and that I could be like a king amongst them. They don't want that. They want the opposite. They want me to be the powerless one in the relationship. So the pretty woman would be this special treasure that I would give my heart and soul to, and she would be used to control me like an animal or a slave, whatever, animal, slave. And you see, I mentioned Elvis. And that's the part I almost forgot, but that's the crucial part. Let's talk about Elvis a bit. Because Elvis is very important in here. Ever since I saw the Elvis movie that was released in the recent years, it left a certain impact on me, positive impact. You see, Elvis, women were crazy about him. They were going like insane over him. And he would have all the women that he wants in the world, because he was that great and successful. And he was married to a woman 10 years younger than himself. And I saw a movie about that also, movie called Priscilla. I saw a lot of that movie, although not until the end. Trust me that I saw enough of it to see that that woman, although she was called his wife, she was as good as a pet. He was in complete control of the relationship. He was in control of everything. He was her sugar daddy, yes, but he also was in absolute control. He decided everything. He had as much as affair as he wanted to, and she wouldn't be allowed to say a word. He would control whether they would have sex or not. And and he even dictated to her that if she would not share in his philosophical ideas, then she would be cast out. And did I say that he controlled also when they would have sex? He controlled every single thing. He was such a controlling person, and to some extent, he was a bit of abusive too. Even physically abusive. He threw a fucking chair on her, which is not the kind of thing that I would do, because I the only thing that really makes me go berserk is if something is attacking my body, especially if it's the evil creature trying to impose on me that I'm this lower life form, and it has power over my body. That's the only kind of thing that really pisses me off. I don't think that people could make me lose control like that. It's only the creature. But my point about Elvis, that what Elvis had is exactly how I want to be with women in my life. I want young, beautiful women to be available to me in heaps. If they chase after me, and if they go crazy about me, then it's the best. But if they're just merely available in heaps, even without chasing me or going crazy about me, that's already very good. And in relationships, I want to have power. I would not necessarily be as controlling as Elvis was, not necessarily. I don't know how I'd be because I never even was in a relationship. But I definitely don't want to be in a relationship when where I am the powerless one, when I am expected to give my heart and soul to the woman. I don't want that shit. And Elvis, he loved his wife, who was as good as his pet. He loved her. But but uh, but but he's the one who owned the other person. He's the one who owned her, and he's the one who was deciding everything. So what I'm saying is, it's not that I refuse to love. I refuse to be owned by anyone, and I want to be in control. At least I want to have a significant amount of control. I prefer to be dominant. I don't know to what extent, like I said, I don't think that I'd be as controlling as Elvis. I'm not sure about that. But what I'm saying is, I can love a woman just like Elvis loved his wife. But I wouldn't give her my soul and I wouldn't give her my heart. I would simply have feelings of affection towards her. But that's not the same thing. You can also have feelings of affection towards a pet, but the pet wouldn't own you. And I want exactly the same thing. I am not saying that all women should be as pets. That's not what I am saying. I'm just saying that I want to be in control. I prefer to be dominant, but at least I want to be in control. I definitely do not want to be powerless, and I want young, beautiful women to be to be available in heaps, and that I fuck whoever I want, whenever I want, and date whomever I want, whenever I want, without having to answer to nobody. So nobody tells me that they own me. Nobody would own my heart and nobody would own my soul. And that's like, it's the opposite of what the organization wants. Because you see, with Elvis, they wouldn't mind it. Do you know why? Do you know why they allowed Elvis this kind of life? It's not like they didn't exist back then. They did, and they constantly observed the world. I guess there was much of people they don't give a shit about, uh, but they're obsessed with me. But they obviously knew about Elvis, and you know why they allowed him that kind of relationships with women? Simply because they were never afraid that Elvis would go out of control and he would somehow threaten their authority. Because he was merely a musician, and what more, the person died of a heart attack at a relatively young age. And I'm the opposite of that. I'm going to live forever. Imagine a person who is allowed to live forever, grow indefinitely, and nobody would control him, plus more. He would think that he could do whatever he wants and he would be king amongst women and otherwise. And we are those fucking organization that wants to control the world and everyone in it. That person would scare us, wouldn't he? And that's why they allow this to Elvis, but they wouldn't allow the same to me. So you see, even though women do like me, they do. I'm certain that women that they do like me. But the organization would make it seem like they don't. Like all I get is all the women, the homosexuals, and all the men stalking after me and wearing the colors that I wear for my intense training sessions to insult me even further. Like they were saying, we're going to take those women from you. We'll not allow you to be king amongst women like you want to, like Elvis was. We will not allow you to be like Elvis. Because if you be like Elvis, then you would be uncontrollable and we would not stop you from taking over the world. That's what I'm talking about. That naturally I was supposed to become at least like Elvis. Maybe, maybe not now, but at least at some point in the future. But they're trying to interfere with that. They wouldn't let me be like Elvis. They wouldn't become popular amongst women and let them chase after me naturally. They would take them away and shove all those old women, old people, and homosexuals up my face. And really work hard at that idea at me that if I want a beautiful woman, that I'm supposed to work hard to achieve her. I'm supposed to like like she's the one who is supposed to be special, and like I'm supposed to treat her like this special and precious thing, and I'm supposed to not merely love her, but I'm supposed to allow to be possessed by her, so she would own my heart and soul, and I would chase after her and court after her, make her feel like she's really, really loved and cared for in this world, to the point of that I become her pet, and she's the organization's pet, so I would become the organization's pet. And that's nothing like I want. I don't want a woman to be artificially special. If she's beautiful and attractive, then that's all the special she is. I don't want to be the kind of special that owns my heart and soul. Thank you very much. I don't want to be owned by anybody, and I am happy that way. I'm genuinely happy when nobody owns my heart and soul. You see, I want to fuck a woman, maybe I want to love her too, but not to the point that my heart and soul are not my own anymore. Those ideas of being romantically possessed by someone, those are external ideas possibly introduced into society by the organization. Those are not normal or healthy ideas at all. The person who wants to genuinely enjoy his life would not want to be possessed. He would be a perfectly balanced person who has this balance between work, life, exercise, whatever it is, has balanced nutrition and balanced emotions too. He would be capable of love and he would be capable of sexuality, but he would not become a slave because of it. You see? And Elvis, in Elvis's life, he was the only one who was truly special, and his mother too, because his mother, he loved his mother very much, even though she was an abusive alcoholic, because he had the respect for his mother, because she raised him. And I also have a great respect for my mother for raising me, and no other woman deserves such respect, because all those women, they want to be loved, but why should they be loved? They can be loved if they're pretty, but not to the extent of like loving your mother, or to the extent of marriage, where you decide that that other person is your fucking other half. I mean, excuse me, why should some woman be my other half just because she has this quality or another? I'm a very special person, I don't have an other half. Do you know how self defeating it is to decide that you're not a person, that you're only half of something? It's also external ideas, not my own. It's the organization putting bad ideas to control people. They inject them into society so people could be easier to control. Imagine how easier it is to control a person who thinks that he's only half a person. It's all about fucking control. It's like the global control system. It wants to control every single computer device in the world, even to the point of controlling RNG in the video games. They want to control everything that has electricity in it. And people, the nerves that they transmit electricity, people are alive, and so they want to control every aspect of human life also. It's all about control. I am the only person in the world who is actually sane. All those ideas about romance, how you'd be possessed by another person obsessively, those are unhealthy ideas. They are very unhealthy. I am absolutely sure that there are bad ideas, bad, very bad ideas. And maybe Elvis naturally understood that. So for Elvis, no woman was really special. Yes, Priscilla was special enough that he would marry her, but like I said, he's the one who was in control. She didn't own him. He was the king amongst all women, including his wife. And that's how I would like to be. And the irony with Elvis is that Elvis not always wanted to be a singer. He was a fan of Captain Marvel, who is today known as Shazam. He wanted to be superpowered like him, and he never became. He died of a heart attack. Me, on the contrary, I have discovered how to obtain such powers, and I am going to be immortal and powerful. I am going to live forever, and I am going to learn how to fly, which is what Elvis really wanted. I am going to live Elvis's dream. I am going to be what Elvis always wanted to be, but he never could. And yet the organization would not allow me to have the same sex life that Elvis had. It wouldn't allow women to be available to me in heaps like Elvis had. It wouldn't allow me to be in control of the relationship like Elvis had. So on one hand, I am the one who is going to live his dream, which he was unable to fulfill, and maybe never even really tried or had any idea that it was possible, which really is. I believe that it is. But on other hand, the organization makes it so I wouldn't have what he had with women, which is something that I want to have. That's the irony of me and Elvis. And so, soon I will finish talking about women and I will move on to other stuff because trust me, there's other stuff too. But the women part does make a difference to me. Because I want to have my real lot in life, in everything, including women, and they obsessively try to take them away from me. I don't, well, I don't know why. Like I said, at least I have those reasons that I think of why they do it. But let's move on. This is no longer about something that would also happen in my mid 20s, but it's more about what happens today. They sometimes allow me to see a young, good looking woman, and oftentimes that woman would appear as though in some way she was deliberately put there. I don't know why, it's just a gut feeling. Like she was deliberately put her, so I would see her and try perhaps to approach her, which is something that nowadays I do a lot more frequently than before, which I may have not even done before. But nowadays, when I show any interest in a girl, I approach her directly and I ask for her phone number. And so, each and every single one of those girls that I approach, they say that they have a boyfriend or they say that they are married. And even today, when I was at the computer store in the local shopping mall, there was this nice young female with the bright skin like I like them, and she was wearing the same colors as I was wearing, as in black and white. But she was with another guy, presumably her boyfriend. And when that happens, it gets you thinking, like, what are they trying to achieve with this? So on one hand, the woman is deliberately put there to deliberately get my attention. And yet, when I approach her, she either has a boyfriend or a husband. And today, that that so-called boyfriend or husband was even with her physically with the same woman who was deliberately put to try and get my attention. So I believe that they're trying here three possible things. Two of them are bad. Two of them are attempts to undermine me. One possible way to undermine me is to straight out try to reduce my confidence, to try to think me that I might not be as lucky with women as I think that I am, that women don't desire me as much, and so they prefer some other guy and they don't want me. So they deliberately put that woman that I would approach just to deliberately make her reject me. The other possible reason is possibly worse than the first one, a different attempt to undermine me, so that I would try to get that woman, even though she is in a relationship. So they would that I would try to compete with her boyfriend, or worse, with her husband. And it's such a humiliating position to be put into, because you see, that's the opposite of what I want. Elvis had women available to him in heaps, and yet I am expected to compete with some other guy over a woman, or otherwise I'm supposed to work harder, like I'm supposed to put more effort in like trying to obtain that woman. Why am I supposed to work harder? Am I not good enough as I am? I give you penis, you give me vagina, or whatever. I make you come however you like, and you make me come however I like. And if you want, maybe we go on a date, maybe we share some. Well, that's less important. But the point is, why should I work harder? Why wouldn't I have women available to me in heaps, as simply as easily like Elvis had, because he was so great? I'm also great, and I'm going to become much greater than Elvis ever even thought was possible. And there is no reason why women shouldn't be available to me in heaps like that, even more than Elvis, like not just one country being crazy about me, but the entire planet, and even galaxies of women chasing after me, because I am that great. Trust me, I promise you that I am that great. I promise you. And yet they put me in this humiliating position where I would potentially like compete with some boyfriend or husband or over a woman. Obviously I wouldn't do that because it's humiliating, and I don't want to be part of this humiliation. So they try to humiliate me, and then I humiliate myself. I don't like it. I don't want to do that because I am not a masochist. I don't want to harm myself. I don't want to humiliate myself. I like myself and I want to be happy. And I know what I deserve. I deserve a lot more. I deserve to be treated in a much better way. And now the third part that they might be trying to do, which is possibly not to undermine me. The third part might be harmless, is if they're trying to suggest that you see this woman, then she may seem like she's taken, but if you succeed in 15 to 75 weeks of doing your training program, then she will become available. Well, that's fine, unless they're trying to make me change my training program, which would be a retarded thing to do, especially since I want to be free, and to be free I have to remain constant, and suddenly changing it would ruin that, and therefore I remain in slavery. So what, I would like sacrifice my life to date some woman, even if I was sure that I would get that woman. I don't want to sacrifice myself, and I don't want to do something stupid. And you know, this training program is not just about freedom. It's what you're supposed to start with. And when you want to do things right, you want to do things at the correct order. You want to do things step by step. So I give this program several years at least, and then I decide what's the next best step, and then I do it. I wouldn't skip over the steps, and I definitely wouldn't start with a later stage that I'm actually supposed to start it. Much less other programs, like I said, they require better cooling. They may require something even better than a normal air conditioner. And it's impractical to even try to do them because they're at the risk of overheating. So if they're trying to make me change my program, then that's a negative thing. It's like trying to manipulate me again. I'm not going to do that. But as I said, if they're just saying that keep doing the stuff that you're doing, and eventually after 15 to 75 weeks, then those women will become available to you. That's fine, unless, yes, unless they want to set it up that I'd become loyal to one woman. Again, with the nonsense of allowing my heart and soul to be possessed by her, or the other self-defeating thing, seeing myself as two people rather than one person, which I have already talked enough about to explain how illogical it is and how self-defeating it is, and I think I've talked enough on the subject. In that case, it's not fine. You see, I believe that they're constantly suggesting to me that this or that woman, particularly celebrities, would become available to me after a consistent period of training that the organization recognizes. But there is a right approach and there is a wrong approach. The right approach, which I sincerely hope that this is what is actually going to be, that when that happens, that all of these women will become available to me without restriction, and I could be with all of them if that's what I choose. That's the right way. So I could have my Elvis dream. So I could have heaps of beautiful women available to me, just like I want, just like Elvis. And I'm not saying it because I want to be Elvis. I'm saying because Elvis is such a great example of something that I want to be. Because Elvis's situation, at least what is depicted in the movie Elvis, is like a role model. You see, it's like not like he is a role model, like his situation with women is a role model. So if that happens, that all of these women will become available to me as much as I want, then that's perfect. You know, that's what make me happy. But if they're like saying that be consistent and your training, and you can choose only one of the entire selection, and you'd be stuck with that woman for the rest of your life, and we're going over the shit over and over again, that woman is supposed to be special to you, and you're supposed to give her your heart and your soul and all that the bullshit all over again. That's what I don't want to happen. That's the negative outcome. There is no way that I agree to this.